Today we're going to talk about Heaven Hill's latest release, the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel Barrel Proof. How is it? Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever, and today we are tasting Elijah Craig's Barrel Proof Toasted Barrel Bourbon. This was a bottle that I was hunting this year. I knew that a lot of stores weren't going to get picks. This isn't going to be a batch release like their Elijah Craig bourbons or the Larceny barrel proofs. So I didn't know how widely available it was going to be in the area. But lucky enough, Virginia got a couple picks and they were in the last round of drops in Virginia. Now I'm a big Elijah Craig fanboy, so I was excited I was able to get this in one of the drops. I have to send a shout out to Shashir. Thank you for helping me snag this in the drop. I wasn't able to get it myself, but he sent a text message saying he was able to get it, so I appreciate you helping me on that front. But the main reason I am excited about this bottle is the proof on it. There are a lot of brands out there that do double oaking or toasted bourbons, but a lot of times they're sub 100 proof, somewhere in the 90s. Like you have Woodford Double Oak, that's like 90 point something, I want to say. You have the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, which is like, I want to say 94-ish. You have some other brands who do lower proofed versions of those double oaks. And for the longest time, the bourbon community has been clamoring for higher proof bourbons. And a lot of times when the people are drinking those double oaks, they are talking about how they're very watery, they could use a little more flavor. So when they released this at barrel proof version, I was excited to try it. So this specific batch is a 9-year, 121.3 proof. It's coming in at a MSRP of about $100. That is more expensive than the Elijah Craig traditional barrel proofs. I think those are roughly like in the $70 range. So you're paying like a $25, $30 premium on this, which I guess kind of makes sense. You know, you are having used a second barrel, and maybe the better comparison actually is the picks, considering this is a pick and not the, you know, a batch version. Like the ESBP picks in this area are now actually close to 90 bucks, maybe 85. So you're really only paying like a $10 premium versus the EDC pick. But for those of you who don't know what a toasted barrel is, so basically Elijah Craig, Heaven Hill, they make a bourbon, they put in new oak barrels, let it age for a bit, and then they'll dump them into another new oak barrel that they toast instead of doing their typical charring process. But with all that background out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into and see how this tastes. Cheers. So right off the bat, I get a lot of traditional toasted note flavors. You'll hear a lot of times marshmallow, but this is like almost like a roasted marshmallow, burnt. You have that char, you know, roasting fireplace out in the backyard when you're a kid smoking a s'more. Kind of like that, kind of the flavor of the marshmallow burnt, but also you get a lot of that wood aroma in there too. And then I'm also getting a lot of milk chocolate. So yeah, I guess following along the s'more analogy, a little bit of maybe chocolate that's drizzled over the marshmallow. Not like a thick chocolate, but just like a nice little coating over it. Now, how to describe this toasted version, a little different than the barrel proof version. The barrel proof one is the Elijah Craig barrel proof traditional. It's more of like an aged oak, much more, I'm trying to think how to describe it. It's just like an aged oak, whereas this is, you can definitely get that toastedness, which is much more sweeter and milder oak. Yeah, it's just a much more pungent sweet note on the oak front. I mean, you also just tell the color here. It is very dark. Traditionally, when you have toasted or double oak products, they're gonna be a much more darker in color, and that is because they're using 2 new oak barrels. Whenever you use a new oak barrel, you're gonna get a lot more of that charring color coming in there. But let's go ahead and jump onto the palate. Cheers. All right, that was not what I was expecting at all on the palate from the aroma. I'm getting a lot of peanut butter. I was not expecting that peanut butter note. It is very, almost like a viscous. Like I took a whole scoop of peanut butter out of a jar and just put it in my mouth. It is so viscous, that peanut butter. And then you definitely have that proof coming in on the back end. There's a lot of like freshly ground black pepper. Is almost the sensation I'm getting on the back end from all that proof. Where you get a lot of that toasted note is on the beginning of the palate, right at the tip. You get that marshmallow, almost milk chocolate sweetness right at the front. And then for me, it turns into that peanut butter note, maybe almost like a Reese's cup, right? You have that milk chocolate turning into peanut butter, and then the finishing there, a nice long ring finish. Yeah, keeping that peanut butter going along with a little bit of just kind of black pepper hopping on the back. Yeah, it definitely is much more viscous through the middle palate than a traditional double oak, where it turns a little watery. And then there's definitely a lot more proof on the back end than you typically get from those lower proof double oaks. But before I keep, I guess, comparing these too much and avoid, let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the original Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel and just see how different it is than the barrel proof one. Cheers. All right, right on the aroma, it's almost closer to like mildewy cardboard wood on the aroma. I definitely think I'm enjoying the barrel proof one more. Let me go ahead and jump into it just to make sure. Yeah, no, I'm not getting that note at all. The barrel proof one is a good note, it's a very good aroma, but yeah, this, the 94 proof one, I'm just getting this like mildewy note. Yeah, I'm really just not getting past that like wet wood note. There's a little bit of that marshmallow note there, but it's very hidden behind a lot of that cardboard note. But let's go ahead and jump into the palate. Yeah, instantly first note is it is a lot more watery than the barrel proof, which makes sense. You're talking about a big proof choice here. What is this? 94 proof compared to like a 120 proof. That's a drastic change. So you'd expect to get more viscosity and flavor out of it. Yeah, I'm getting almost like a rock candy note, like Jolly Rancher. I'm getting a lot more of a lighter sweetness on this small batch toasted, which is very peculiar just because typically you get darker notes on toasted products, but this one, maybe it's just in comparison, like maybe if I had this by itself, it tastes like a typical toasted product, but right next to the single barrel barrel proof version, it's much more like a lighter sweetness. Yeah, right in the tip, you get that like chocolate, again, wet wood note. Yeah, I don't know if it is this specific bottle or this batching of this version, but right on the tip of the tongue, I get that kind of wet wood note again. Then a little bit of milk chocolate there. It's like a nice, strong sweetness there at the top, but then it really just fades out. It's almost like a waterfall down your tongue. It just kind of disappears. And then there's the finish. It just not much going on, which makes sense. You know, it's a lower proof whiskey. Normally finishes aren't that much of a linger. Yeah, there's almost no proof burn to this. You know, if you traditionally do not like higher proof alcohol, you might prefer the small batch here because there's almost no ethanol on the back end. However, just the overall notes I'm getting from the small batch version, I'm just not the biggest fan of right now. I am enjoying the notes of the barrel proof one a lot more. Yeah, I'm just getting like an almost artificial sweetness out of the small batch. Not the biggest fan of that. Okay, before I get into my final review of the Elijah Craig private barrel, single barrel, if you're enjoying this content, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any content going forward. In addition, if you want to go and join our community, I have a Discord and Patreon channel. Come join us over there. So should you go out and chase the new barrel proof single barrel versions of the Elijah Craig Toasted, the pricing difference here is what? This is like 55, maybe 60. This one is 100, so you're looking at like a $40 difference. Personally, I would buy the single barrel proof. I am really enjoying this. I think it is drastically better than the small batch version. You just get more viscosity, more flavor there. My only caveat is, I don't know if the small batch one has an off-putting note because it's a specific bottle, that wet cardboard, or if it's how these batches typically are. And then the other issue is this is a single barrel. Everyone's gonna have different single barrels out there. I'm gonna need to try more different single barrels out there just to see if this is a one-off or they all are better than the small batch version. But what I can tell you today is that this single barrel to me is worth $100, and I would chase much more. I'd buy this before I'd buy like 2 of these small batch versions, just because I'm not enjoying it, but I really do enjoy this one. So that's my review of the new Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel barrel proof. But if you're enjoying this content, before you head out, check out this video or this one. And until next time, cheers.